All right, so my name is Masorie. I'm known as Seladi today because that's my maiden name. But Masorie Tegabwasa is the name, full name. Well, I'm a village girl. I always say that because I did all my schooling in the village, and I'm from an island called Normanby Island in Milne Bay, and a little village called Wakera. So I'm the eldest in the family. My father was he worked as a agricultural officer. Mom was a nursing officer in a little hospital called Ubuya Hospital. So when they got married, they had me, and after 5 years of work, they both returned to the village. And so I grew up in the village, did all my schooling. It's also a very challenging time because I was, I think, 5 years old when I went to school, or 6, and I had to walk quite a distance to go to a primary school. And I did it every day. And I think for me, hard work or challenge began very, very young. But because my father wanted me to have an education, he made sure that I went to school. Didn't matter how far the school was. And he did his part as well by making sure that the school was a good school, because he was on the board for the whole time I was in my primary school. And I wasn't the brightest kid in school. I must have come fourth when we all sat for exams to go to high school. And high school is on the mainland in Alatau, Cameron High School. So there were others who were first, second, third, and I was fourth, I remember. And so I was about 12 when I got shipped out to go to high school to do what we used to call Form 1. We call them grades today, but they were Form 1 to Form 4. So back then too, if you failed your Form 2, you would be sent home. But thank God I passed. And those that were first and second, they failed, and they got sent back to the village. Well, I made it through to Form 4. And transport was a problem to get from the island to the mainland. Back then, we didn't have dinghies like we have today. So no, my father would pedal to the ocean to stop a big ship passing through. And I see him with a mirror trying to, to the boat, to the ship, the big ships, and they would come in to pick me up to go to the mainland. It was hard, but he would pedal. It could be a 20 minutes pedal to go to the deeper part of the ocean to stop a big ship, going past to go to the mainland.
How long was the commute?
Sorry?
How long was the commute from the island to the mainland?
Well, on a boat, it's 7 hours. Yeah, it is quite long. And on a dinghy today, it's 1 hour, 30 minutes, or 2 hours max. Or he also worked hard. He made copra back then. That's the source of income. And he would make copra enough money to even pay for my plane fare to travel from the island to the mainland, or from the mainland to the island as well after school. So he was a hardworking man, yeah. And that's my father, who is Seladi. And I thank Jordan for naming the business after him as well. I think because he grew up, he knows his grandfather. We would go to the village every two years. So yeah, after high school, I was privileged to be awarded a scholarship to go to Leyte to study Secretarial. And in the school Secretarial today, unfortunately, they don't do what they should do, because we start it's a 12 February to December, and so within that almost 12 months, you are taught a lot of stuff. You're not just learning how to type, but we even trained how to make coffee, how to make your boss's coffee, and how you should sit, how you should stand, how you should filing, how you should dress. We are taught grooming, proper grooming, how you should be, every aspect, yeah, even to the detail of, and so we had teachers who were also expatriates who made sure that, they passed on the knowledge that they should to make us a good secretary. So when I got my first job, I got to work with Westpac, or it was Wales Bank then, as a confidential secretary to the branch manager. And that was a position occupied by an expatriate woman when I started working 1979 after school. And so this amazing lady, she had to train me for 6 months to be, by then I think I was 17, 18 years old when I joined the bank. So I had to learn from this expatriate woman how to make my boss's coffee, how to do my job, even filing. I was later told that I did a better job than her. And actually the boss, the branch manager told me that, where were you all this time? You should have been here, you should have got this job done. And anyway, but that was good.
That's good.
I left Alatau. I moved to Leh in 1998. Oh, hang on, sorry, scrubbed it out. 1978, and where I did my training in Secretarial. Back then it was called Leh Tech. It's now Polytech. And after that I started working in Leh. I stayed on, worked with Westpac Bank for 15 years, and then I joined a company called Cummins South Pacific for 24 years, and I retired after that. So it's about 39 years of work. Now I got married. I had 2 sons. My husband and I had 2 sons, and Jordan is our eldest. Jordan was born on the 14th of December, 1985 at Engau Memorial Hospital. He was a big baby, 4.02, and wow. I think he hasn't changed much. He's still a big man. Yeah. So, but yeah, just like in every case where a parent, it's your first child, he becomes more like a guinea pig. All the trials of raising a child, and so yeah, Jordan had a fun time. So he grew up in Leh, and then he went to school he went to a preschool. He was very fortunate. It was an international preschool, so he got to mix with people from the expatriate community as well. And but he was pretty loud, so everybody noticed that very early in his life. He was fun. He was talkative, and he didn't really. He wasn't a timid kind of person. He was always very, very confident. And so after preschool, he went to another school, his primary school, lower primary, which was Coronation International, for a couple of years. And then he moved on to a Christian Nazarene church-run Christian school. He did up to grade 6. And then that was an interesting place because, again, it was an international school. And I think he was already about 9, 10 at that time. And so he started to really, I guess, express himself. So he was very mischievous. He was a bully in school. I got called in a lot of times by the principal because Jordan's broken windows, or he's bashed somebody up. And so, yeah, the librarian didn't like Jordan very much. He was always noisy in the library, so they get to, tell him to go outside and then, and then come back again. But I think he was, it's like he already knew what he wanted in life. Yeah, very creative. Jordan always went around. He carried a notebook with him, sketching and doing yeah, drawings. He even made up his own comic book as well. And I had to bend that comic because he had a few sets already. He had to bend that comic book because it was, for me, I felt it was very,
Graphic.
yeah, like I didn't like that. I think for me as a Christian, I thought, why is my son imagining those kind of imagination? So I thought he didn't like it, but anyway, we had to destroy them. Now, fast forward, Jordan went to, from grade 6, he did his grade 7 at Lay Provincial High School, because back then the school he was attending, Lay Christian Academy, wasn't registered within the PNG curriculum. So I moved him to Lay Secondary, International. No, it wasn't international, it was Lay Provincial High School. And quickly, Jordan gained a lot of popularity as well because he went to school with socks up to his knee and shirt always tucked in, his uniform tucked, and carried a lunchbox and a drink bottle. And even people today, they made fun of him, thinking it wasn't a cool thing, I think, in a provincial high school. But Jordan loved the school. He quickly became a prefect in the school and took leadership role in the school. Yeah, so he made a lot of friends. From then he moved on to Unitech and Jordan changed at Unitech. I think it's the living away from home and the exposure to different people. He changed. He came home one weekend and I just didn't want to hear what he has to say. He told me what was going on and but that was Jordan. After uni, he was actually a bright kid too because he was given the award during graduation. He was awarded the Chancellor's Award at graduation, and so he probably knew what he wanted to do when he left uni. Straight away, he was able to get a job with North Rider. And that was pretty interesting because when he joined North Rider, the owner of North Rider told him that, Jordan, you've got nothing to offer this company. And so he started right from the bottom. Even first he had to clean his office first. Wow. He took buckets and rags and, he cleaned his office first. And then he, the usual climbing posts to buildings to measure up stuff. And I think a lot of architects would relate to that. And so he did that. His first pay was 250 kina. So he brought home that pay and he's like, Mom, you need to get what you want. So he had to pay rent as well out of his 250 and the rest he kept. But that was how, it's very humbling. And now that to me was nice, having to come home and give your pay packet to your mother and say, get what you want, and then, you get the rest. He keeps the rest. But we had, their father and I separated that part. After 12 years, we both separated. So I took the boys and we were living in very, very poor conditions. We lived in a missionary's boy house. More or less, that was their dog's house. And when we needed accommodation, they made space, put the dogs outside, and the three of us cleaned up the room, and we stayed in there for almost 6 months. After that, we got another house. It was a lot better. After that, I then bought a house through my employer's help. We were able to own a home of our own. So that's where more or less the boys were raised. And I think we not only housed ourselves, but we opened it even to young men who had issues with their parents, and they all came. They all came. So that was, the boys were not, they were not afraid to grow up on their own. I remember Jordan telling me one time, he said, I'm going to prove everyone wrong about children been raised by single parents. So he meant that he's gonna work hard. That pushed him to work hard actually, and he did well. And that's like, it's not an excuse not to succeed in life.
Yeah.
If you're raised by one parent, you can still do well in life. And I think that really worked for both the boys, because Jonathan's I think he's 5 years younger. And so he did the same, and they both went to Unitech and graduated with degrees in the respective professions that they wanted to be. So after that, Jordan moved to Mosby, and he joined Pacific Architects.
PAC.
Yeah, PAC. He lived at Badili. Again, when we got him the place at Badili, a lot of people said, "What? Why would you want to let your son live in Badili? That's infested with criminals." But because not knowing Mosby, I didn't know where was a safer place. So when the opportunity came that there was a space at Greenhouse, we got a flat there, and so he was able to live there and go to work. He didn't have a car, so it meant that he had to catch a bus to work and walk most of the time. In the afternoons, he'd jog back from Pacific Architects' office back to Badili. And he loved it. Jordan loved the walking part and jogging, and that's the kind of life. People saw my son on the road, and they were like, "Wow, we saw your son, all long trousers, white shirt, long sleeve, and he's walking." So, I mean, for me and my kids, that was, it's normal for us. Yeah. Although we owned a car all through the, childhood and growing up, but hard work was something that's normal for us. We worked hard. And, so Jordan, moved into Badili after 4 years. I think he was made redundant from Pacific Architects. And he's like, "Mom, I don't have a job." I said, "Well, come home. We have a house here, so come home." But then he decided not to come home. He decided to stay in Mosby and give it a go. So we were blessed with jobs. He had already made, contacts while working. So, I should mention this. The first people that really helped him were Janet and her husband, Dr. Sios, and they gave him work. It wasn't much, but that was enough to sustain him to pay his rent and his day-to-day living in Mosby. And they're good payers. Every time he completed a job, they'd give him a check straight away. And so after that, he thought, let's give it a go. He registered a company, so that's how he moved into an office at Badili through help as well from a good brother of his, owner of Number One Trophy House. And so we started there. It's almost 3 years ago, and got a few stuff together, and they were able to start Saladi 85 back there. Yeah.
Saladi 85 was born there.
They were born there, and so we're now into our 4th year of being in the business. Yeah.
That's so long. 4 years comes a long way.
Yes.
Like it's grown so much in 4 years.
Yeah. There's been.
Take us back to when you separated.
Yes.
The living conditions weren't as great. What was the thing that kept you going?
For me, when I think as a young girl growing up, I had my dreams. I wanted to be married and to be the best wife and to be the best mother as well. And when we separated, it was sad, and also for me, I felt like I didn't do my job well, or I didn't keep to that bargain or that dream that I had, that I wanted to be that. But I believe God never gave up on me, even in the separation. Because for me as a Christian, a marriage is for life. Yeah, you don't divorce or you don't separate. But I had to be obedient in moving out because of the abuse that I had gone through during the marriage. I had broken fingers, I was always been bashed up. And so when my husband told me to leave, I obeyed and I left. But I took my children with me. And Ley was not a pretty safe place. It was, but not really. And so but at the time, that safety was not the issue. For me, I wanted to give a good life for my children. Now, I was blessed with a good job because after being in Westpac for 15 years, I was offered I was working for this company, Coming South Pacific, and they were paying me pretty good. So I was able to afford rent and able to afford a car. And so the car was like half of our possessions were in the vehicle, our saucepans and our library books and whatever. So we moved around that way. And so, but I wanted my children not to feel like less privileged from other kids.
You wanted to be the best of them.
Yes, I covered them in a way in every aspect. I made sure that they had a good place to sleep, and they were always happy. So we had we had a good life. Even despite all that, the children were really, really happy. And they'll tell you themselves, those were the best memories of them growing up with their mother. We would three of us would double up on one, it's usually a double bed. And so the three of us would because Jordan was 9, and Jonathan was 5. So I don't think they saw it as something bad. They went to school and no one knew that, they live in a place like that because I made sure there was I was ironing their clothes, their uniforms, so we all looked sharp when we all went to work or went to school, yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beauty in struggle. People who struggle in life or live in not so good conditions,
Yeah.
come out on top it's amazing.
Yeah.
You did a good job.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Now I want to focus on you for a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be on the website and it's going to be your story.
Yeah.
Take us back to some parts of you before in the youth and guess building the company. Jordan, tell us about it. Because
Yeah, well, because I'm a person that I can't do. I don't. I fear being owner of a business.
Yeah.
I'd rather work for somebody, and it gives me a lot of satisfaction to see someone succeed in their business or in the workplace. I like to. I like to serve people. And when Jordan said he wanted to start a business, I was like, wow, do you really want to do that? And Jordan was already, I think he knew what he wanted in the business, like to start up and so, he was at the background making sure the company is registered, and he was getting ideas from other people on how to run a business. And eventually I agreed with him and I said, I'll support you. So when I retired, after 39 years of working, I retired in January 2018. I came over to Mosby and I joined him. I was with him for 8 months while I was building my home, or he was building my home in Alatau. So within that 8 months, we were able to do, basic things like proper filing system in place, and then he brought in young boys from time to time to help him with some of the work that he was doing. But he knew what he wanted, so I was But we prayed a lot, my sons and I. We had a very strong Christian-based home where the kids grew up. Even without a father, we were able to do that. And I know that if it wasn't for God, we wouldn't be where we are today. Yeah, and like Jordan became a Christian when he was 9 years old, while attending Lake Christian Academy, and Jonathan at 5. So for us, the three of us, we were able to live life. Yeah, but we couldn't do it on our own. God was in everything that we did. Even with my job, I'm not a university graduate of any sort, but God really, it really helped me to develop in my in where I worked, and I had so many opportunities going to Australia, attending conferences or meetings where I thought I'd never do that, and but I was able to do that as well. So yeah,
that's amazing.